Okay, so what do you need to start bullet journaling? The first thing is a journal. I have an Archer and Olive one here, and most standard journals will come with 2 little ribbon bookmarks, and they'll have a pen loop on the side to keep a pen handy. The Archer and Olive has really nice paper. It's pretty thick, and that's something you want to look into on your notebook is the GSM, which is the weight of the paper. A higher GSM, like Archer and Olive, which is 160, will hold a lot of different mediums. Then, of course, you should get a really good pencil and an eraser. You should also get some sort of ballpoint pen. I use this Muji one, which I really like. Some fine liners. The Pigma microns are usually a tried and true. They don't smear, especially if you go over them with marker. Tombow monoliners are also a really great option as well, and these both come in different thicknesses. I have a Tombow fudenosuke brush pen that's great for lettering, and then these are the Tombow dual tip brush pens, and they come in so many different colors. I really like that they have a thin tip and then a wider one for lettering. And then next, I also have these zebra mildliners. These are also really great for coloring in things and for adding color to different pages, and they do have a more traditional highlighter tip and then a marker tip. And then I just recently got these Acrylographs from Archer and Olive. They're basically acrylic paint pens. And then Crayola Super Tips, which are really affordable. I would definitely recommend starting out with those. So here I have swatched all of my Archer and Olive Acrylograph pens that I have. They don't really have names on them, so I thought it would be easier to kind of swatch all of these out just so I can see which color I would like to use for my spread. I already know the Archer and Olive kind of holds up to a lot of different mediums, so I wasn't really afraid of ghosting or bleeding through, which didn't happen with any of the swatches that I have. And then here I have the Tombow brush pens. I swatched all of these. Again, it's really nice to have a swatch page that you can also tear out and use for your next bullet journal. It just makes it easier to see which colors you'd like to use for the spread that you have. So normally in bullet journals, you start off by having a cover page. It can be whatever you like. I usually like to keep the beginning pages pretty neutral because most of my monthly spreads will have a bunch of color in them. So for the first page, I'm just going to write out the year that I'll be having this bullet journal. So this one will be going from year 2022 to 2023. And I went ahead and did this kind of bold block font for these numbers. Again, I just wanted to keep it pretty neutral, so I colored it in with black, and I'm using a brush pen by Sigma. So to add some more dimension, I went in with a white jelly roll to add some highlights, and then I took another fine liner to kind of outline each of the numbers. And you can kind of make the front cover whatever you want it to be. It can be a quote. You don't have to draw anything if you don't want to. You can just get straight into calendars and things like that. But kind of whatever you want it to be. There's a lot of YouTubers I know that like to add a lot of different trackers and things like that throughout the year. I personally like to keep things very simple. I'm a grad student, so I don't really have time to make a bunch of spreads, and I want the bullet journal to be functional. I do like to be creative with it, but at the end of the day, if I take too much time on each of these spreads, it's just not really feasible for me. And keep in mind, a lot of these really big YouTubers, this is their job, so they do have extra time to kind of play around and be way more fancy than the average person. Okay, so next I'm gonna go ahead and do a future log. And I am using a Pigma micron pen to write that out, and I'll be using that same pen to write out the different months of the year. I'm just using varied thicknesses on the pen nib. So basically a future log is just a calendar for the year. It's really nice to be able to have that calendar, and you really are going to reference this a lot for your monthly spreads when you have to rewrite those calendars for that if you choose to do so. And I do leave a bit of space on the right hand side so that I can write really important dates. So the way that one uses a future log is, for example, let's say, we are in the month of August and you have an appointment in January. So you normally do the spreads for the month as, the year goes by. So like a week before January starts, you'll probably start your January monthly spread. But right now you're in August, so you're not going to do that spread right now, or most people won't anyway. So you go ahead and you use your future log to track that appointment. And so when you come into January, you can go back to your future log and then transfer all of the important dates from January or important appointments from January. And you can go ahead and put that in your monthly and weekly spreads. And so a lot of people will, in their future log, put in holidays, birthdays, things of that nature. If you're a student, you can go ahead and put when you have midterms or finals, and it's a really, really helpful spread. And I'm going ahead and just using a Tombow brush pen, by the way, for those shadows. So next I'm doing a grid spacing page. I am just using a Pigma micron, and I am writing the number of boxes that there are horizontally and vertically. And then I'm taking my zebra mildliner and I am dividing the page up into thirds using the blue one. And this is super helpful because you can see how many boxes you need, and you don't have to count a million times and do all the math to divide your page into thirds. So that is what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle at the top and write how many boxes I need to count down in order to go into thirds. So that was 12 for the vertical, and I believe it was 8 horizontally. And so next I'm going to divide the page into fourths, and I'm using a pink pen for that. It's really helpful to do these lines in different colors just so that it's easier to kind of read. You don't want to do all these in the same color, like in black, for example. It's just kind of hard to figure out which one was the third and which is the fourth. The color just kind of catches your eye and makes it easier to read because this page can get pretty hectic. And then with the red, I'm going to go ahead and divide the page into half. And then next I'm going ahead and going to make a key. So the blue was for thirds, pink for fourths, and then the red was half. Okay, so I did also want to mention that I did leave spaces in between each of the ways that I divided the page, just because when you go ahead and make those boxes, it looks a little cleaner if you have a space in between each one as opposed to the boxes being right next to each other. That's my personal opinion. You don't have to, divide your page like that if you don't want to. And so I am also just using another Pigma micron to write grid spacing on my page. And this is probably the most colorful page that there will be. Like I said, like to keep my stuff pretty neutral. And the last spread for my yearly setup is a brain dump page, and I am using that same Pigma brush pen. I really recommend this because it's super easy to fill in large spaces with black. So I'm going ahead and using that Pigma brush pen to do that. And then I have a dump written next to it, which I'm going to be using a Pigma micron fine liner for that. And I'm going to be writing brain with a white jelly roll in the circle. And a tip, if you are going to use a white jelly roll, I find that it works best on a black that's like a Pigma micron pen. It usually tends not to work very well on my Tombow brush markers for some reason. So yeah. And basically what I use my brain dump page for is anything I just quickly need to jot a note down. For example, if I have some passwords or, just anything random. I really, really think that these are super helpful. And that is about it for the yearly setup. I don't like to use a bunch of trackers. Like I said, I like to keep things pretty simple. And here is a flip through of what the journal looks like. Hopefully this was helpful, and you guys are able to see some tools that you might want to purchase to start your bullet journal and get some inspiration. Some of these spreads were inspired by people that I did see on YouTube. I don't remember their names, otherwise I would link them. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and please stay tuned for my monthly spreads. See you guys.